Chakroon from Suzaku and Ash. It's a pleasure to have you aboard, sir. Let me give you a proper introduction. Um, Leo is the co-founder and CTO of Ash and Suzaku. He's got a strong technical background in distributed systems operations, and Ash was also a speaker at our Layer 1 season last year.
Yep.
So we're thrilled to have you back. And I just wanted to give you your flowers because you were the first protocol to integrate landslide basically unprompted. So, we're thrilled to have you aboard, sir.
Yeah, anything every time there's something new on the Avalanche ecosystem, we want to deep dive in this, try out the documentations, and I have to give props to you because the documentation are great, and I was able to compile everything and deploy everything almost on the first try. So good job on your side, yeah.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, now we're building documentation for AI. So unless we're commenting our code specifically to be read by an AI, we're not doing a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'd love to expand you guys have a ton of offerings, and there's a lot going on, and there's two products, Ash which helps spin up layer ones, and then Suzaku which helps decentralize them. So
Yeah.
I'm selfishly here to learn and tangentially here to promote. So yeah, I'd love to learn what you guys have and what you're a partner of Codebase, the Avalanche
Yeah.
incubator, and yeah, I'd happy to learn more.
Yeah, so maybe before talking about Suzaku, we can do a quick recap of what we are doing with Ash and what Ash is about. So we actually announced this week on Monday Ash 9000, which is kind of like the open beta phase for the first product of Ash, which we have called the Ash console. And so basically what you can do with the Ash console, we have set out during this Ash 9000 phase, everything is free to use. We have put up a few documentations and guides. And basically what you can do with the Ash console is spin up Avalanche validators, so running Avalanche Go, deploying on virtual machines, as well as easily deploying Avalanche L1s that will be validated by your nodes. And also we have enabled the ability to also easily spin up a block explorer that will be directly plugged to your Avalanche L1 if you are running a subnet EVM based L1. And so during the Ash 9000 open beta phase, we support GCP, Azure, and AWS. And so in just a quick, with just a few clicks, and about 10 to 15 minutes, you can start from zero and end up with a fully functional Avalanche L1 deployed on the cloud in any cloud region that you want. And also, what's really important here is that the L1 that you deploy is hosted on your machines, right, on your infrastructure. So you have total control. If you want to close everything and keep this to yourself and your partners, you can do so. If you want to deploy to, say, one node in a specific region, one other node in another region to have a proper geographically distributed blockchain, you can also do it. And yeah, so it's been a long time coming. Like you said, with Ash, we were part of your event last year. It was in April, I think. So it's been more than 1 year and a half that we have been working on the Ash console. But yeah, we have released this, and we are really happy about this. I actually recorded a few video tutorials yesterday that we'll be publishing soon on X, so that everyone can see in like a video walkthrough how easy it is to start from nothing and end up with a fully functional L1.
That's great. I would love to do a video tutorial myself, with the chickens out back, or the sheep, or the cow, and just have the cow deploy the layer one. Just as easy, just put the nose on the keyboard, and then it just deploys an L1.
If you prepare everything for the cow, it will be able to do. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. This is our go-to-market strategy here. Just cow layer ones.
Cow L1s. Yeah. It's actually a protocol, right? Cow swap.
It is. It's actually a protocol in the Gnosis, in the safe swap. Yeah, it's a cow DAO.
Yeah. So yeah, as so that's what we do with Ash. Make things easy to deploy an L1, technically speaking. Um, but there are still a few issues after you deploy your L1 is how to properly decentralize it. And so this is why we have came up with Suzaku, and we are now working on Suzaku to help tackle this issue. I can just follow up on that, and maybe let me share my screen.
Yeah.
There we go. Is it working?
Yep.
Yeah. So again, feel free to interrupt if you have any question. I don't have that many slide.
Will do.
So yeah, Suzaku is basically a restaking protocol for sovereign networks that is especially tailored for Avalanche and the Avalanche L1 ecosystem. So as I was saying, with the Avalanche stack and especially with Ash on top of it, it's really easy now for anyone to deploy their own chain. I think we can all agree here that Avalanche is the best place to run L1s today. Um, and when we talk about L1s in this specific case of Suzaku, we talk about sovereign networks. And basically, it's either a generic purpose layer one or an app chain, like a blockchain that is dedicated to one decentralized application, but using proof of stake for security. It's an important step. And so when you are launching such a chain today, a proof of stake app chain or layer one, builders have the difficulty to find the crypto economic security. If you are running, like deploying a chain, you have to buy you have to convince a lot of people to actually buy your token and stake your token for quite some time, which can be tough for some ecosystem. And also, depending on when you are launching your project, if you are deep in the bear market, you will have really hard time to find people to buy and stake your token. And also, when you are launching your chain and your protocol, your token is quite new and it can be volatile on the market, right? And so you can quickly become exposed to what is called the death spiral problem, that has been explained thoroughly in some eigenlayer blocks that are really interesting. And so it's basically you have your L1 that is secured by your native token. Um, you have some TVL on your L1, and if all of a sudden, because of volatility, the price of your token lowers down, obviously the the TVL of your network will also lower because it will be less secured, and this will also accelerate the downfall of your own token. And so this is why it's called the death spiral problem. And so yeah, this issue of bootstrapping crypto economic security has been faced by lots of network. And on the other side, we have shared security. That is a concept that just allows another ecosystem, like another blockchain, to lend or share their proof of stake security from an established network like Ethereum to some other neural networks. This has been around for a while. We have seen this for on Polkadot, for example, also on Cosmos. And what's interesting in the latest few months and years is that Eigenlayer came up with the primitive that is restaking. And so with restaking, Eigenlayer, what they are doing is just enabling staker of a strong proof of stake network, in this case Ethereum, which after Bitcoin is probably the only network that is properly decentralized and really has strong economics. And so with restaking and Eigenlayer, the stakers of Ethereum can additionally opt in to secure other decentralized networks in exchange for some additional yield on their staked Ethereum. And
Yeah,
so,
we see this also with Babylon, as
yeah,
stake your Bitcoin, earn altcoin yield.
exactly. Yeah. So Eigenlayer is kind of the biggest actor on the Ethereum side, with Symbiotic coming second, and Babylon is also a really interesting ecosystem on that front. And so these other decentralized services on Eigenlayer, they are called AVSs. And when we saw this and when we thought about how we could help L1s scale on Avalanche and decentralize, it made total sense. In the end, on Eigenlayer, an AVS can be any kind of services. What we are doing with Suzaku is focusing on L1s, because this is what we are doing on Avalanche, right? And so this is how we came up with Suzaku, the Suzaku restaking protocol, which is basically a framework to ease the bootstrapping of crypto economic security for sovereign networks. And again, when I talk about sovereign networks in this specific case, I'm talking about Avalanche L1s. And so we have the framework that is powered by Avalanche and the L1 stack. And so the first thing that will enable with Suzaku, the first part, which will actually launch really soon, is for anyone to stake or restake tokens. So either as we put here in the slide, blue chip tokens like AVAX, Wrapped Ethereum or BTCB, as well as stable coins or L1 native tokens. And so after that, these tokens are being staked or restaked on the Avalanche, on the Suzaku protocol, these assets can be used to bootstrap the crypto economic security of additional networks, layer ones, in exchange for some additional yields. So at first we will have everything run on the Avalanche C chain, but after some point, and when Suzaku grows, we will launch our own L1, the Suzaku chain, which will be just an app-specific L1 that will orchestrate all the restaking operations with our own token, the Suz token, that will serve for both staking and gas token.
So can we expand the Suzaku chain to enable restaking outside of Avalanche? Or is that going to
Yep,
be sort of some feature set of the P chain directly?
I do have a slide about this. Maybe you can skip to this now. So at first, we will start by focusing on the assets that are on the C chain, because it just makes sense. The C chain is the kind of like the liquidity hub for the whole Avalanche ecosystem. But after that, we want to expand, to some other restaking ecosystem. Obviously, because when you take a look at post Eigenlayer that has, I think, 16 billion TVL now today, as well as Babylon, which is also quite big. These ecosystems in terms of TVL are really bigger than Avalanche in the C chain. So by expanding and connecting to this external restaking ecosystem, we'll be able to accept more collateral in terms of value. And also something that we found really interesting is that there could be some builders that are on Avalanche that are building on L1 because of the technical stack, but they are not necessarily aligned to the Avalanche, like to the AVAX token, for example. And so we think that for this protocol, it would make more sense. I don't know if you are running, say, like some kind of Bitcoin layer 2 on an Avalanche L1, it might make more sense for you to be crypto economically secured by actual BTC that is from Babylon, rather than with some stable coin or with some AVAX. And so this is something that we want to enable at some point in the Suzaku future. Yeah.
Well, we hope that if you want to enable that, Landside will be able to help provide that economic security outside over IBC.
Mhm. Yeah, for Babylon, most definitely, yeah, because I think on their side they are really focused on the Cosmos ecosystem and on IBC enabled chains.
Yeah,
And so yeah, probably Landside would be of great use here. Yeah.
great.
And so little bit of alpha just for you. We have the Suzaku, the first part of Suzaku, like the first iteration, the restaking the app that will be coming really soon, sooner than anyone thinks actually. And so from this, the app, when we launch this the app, we'll have anyone that will hold any of the assets, the collateral that will accept in the beginning. So we will start with SAVAX, BTCB. It's not here, but we also have AUSD as well. So Agora as a stable coin. We will allow anyone to deposit assets and start earning Suzaku points to be part of the ecosystem. And these assets will be later be put at use for Avalanche L1 that want to decentralize. So this will be the first iteration of the project, just like enable restaking, grow the TVL, and then we'll use this TVL to actually secure Avalanche L1s. I have a
So
fully defined example afterward. I think it will be clearer.
great.
So yeah, I did keep this slide on the presentation. Why Avalanche? Because it's something we are asked a lot from people that are not really familiar with the Avalanche ecosystem. I guess here we are all convinced of the Avalanche stack, but just to go quickly, as I mentioned earlier in the beginning, when it comes to building a sovereign network, sovereign blockchain, whether it's a general purpose layer one or an app chain, we think that Avalanche and the L1 stack is the best place to do so. Mostly because of the flexibility. Today, all of the L1s that are in production are EVM based, but we've seen Movement Labs build a Move VM. With Hyper SDK, we'll be able to kind of like abstract all the complexities of building a chain and just use this SDK. I need to update this slide with with what you guys released recently because it's really awesome. And on top of the flexibility, we have the Avalanche consensus, which is really fast and scalable, when probably the best on the market. And on top of that, obviously, with Avalanche Warp messaging, also also a slide that needs to be refreshed because I think they changed the name for this one.
Yes.
It's kind of hard to keep track of all these changes, but this is for everyone's good. But yeah, with Warp messaging or whatever we need to call this now, we have all the Avalanche L1s that are natively interconnected with this built-in communication protocol. So
This is
again,
great. This is a great slide. I can't express to other people watching this, but like when builders like get into the weeds here, like sometimes we're talking our own language, and when we talk to other people, they have no idea what we're talking about, or if we've just gone completely cuckoo. So like it's great to like see, oh yes, like this is correct. Like we have consensus about what we're building, and yeah, this is great. Yeah, it's a great description. Um, Warp messaging, teleporter, ICTT, interchain token transfers. That's like IBC specifically just for Avalanche. It's like the Avalanche intranet where all the L1s talk to each other.
yep. And so yeah, basically all these features that kept us pushed us to actually build on Avalanche, because again, it's the best place to run L1s. And so what can we build with Suzaku? What are Suzaku sovereign networks? Basically, they are Avalanche L1s, and what you can build with anything you want. So we can take the example of the existing L1. You have DeFi L1s, Dexalot, for example. A lot of gaming stuff of the grid has been released recently on both Xbox and PlayStation, powered by an Avalanche L1. You can have a real world asset Avalanche L1. We have some team in Codebase. I feel bad, I don't remember the name, but they are working on this. We have the badge. The badge is actually working on real world assets with agro tokenization in Argentina. Really interesting stuff.
What's the name of the team?
It's the badge.
The badge.
Yeah,
Huh.
they were part of the first cohort,
Right
like
on.
us with Ash, and they are doing tokenization of agroeconomics in Argentina.
Amazing.
So yeah, I was saying DeFi, gaming, real world assets, as well as decentralized networks. You've had Noah yesterday from Notkit. They are
Yes.
building a decentralized shared sequencer with Avalanche L1 as a backend, deep in proven networks, etc.
Yeah, so
And
they
it's
have a
also in
they have a prover network as well.
Notkit.
Yeah, they have some sort of nodes that they call Javelin.
Mm, yes, you're right. I forgot about this. Yeah. And so it's also worth to mention that we will be developing our own Suzaku sovereign network, which we have called the Suzaku Relayer Network, that will actually be plugged on top of Avalanche Warp messaging to provide a censorship resistance and liveness guarantee to the Avalanche Warp messaging protocol. Because today, if you want to transmit messages with Warp messaging from one L1 to the other, you need to deploy a relayer, an Avalanche relayer. And so right now, what you can do is just deploy it yourself. But then, an L1 blockchain it's as centralized as the centralization of its entry point. And if you just have one relayer that's hosted by yourself, then you can do nasty things like censorship or even have the relayer down. And so what we are doing with the relayer network, that will be actually an Avalanche L1 with this crypto economic security bootstrapped by the Suzaku protocol. Is just building on top of AWM to have censorship resistance and liveness guarantee.
Well, I hope we use other web providers as well.
Sorry.
I hope we use other web providers other than AWS. I wanted to loop
Mm.
in. So
Oh, yeah, yeah, of course.
people we can loop in here to that would be the Jackal protocol on Cosmos. They do censorship resistant storage and also Nirvana Labs. They run bare metal servers for a
Mm.
ton of Avalanche Layer 1. So yeah, happy to shout out to those teams.
Yeah, I was mentioning for so just a bit off topic, but about Ash. So for Ash 9000, we support AWS, GCP, and Azure, but we are currently hard at work to enable like kind of like any cloud, just bring your own machine, and
Okay, great.
obviously Nirvana Labs, we are talking to these guys, and we would like to easily be able to spin up a Nirvana cloud instance and just plug it to Ash to deploy your L1 on the Nirvana cloud. This is something we are currently working at.
Yeah, so for just people who blacked out and don't know what we're talking about, Nirvana Labs is a cloud provider, like it's the alternative. It's like, buying local food versus going to Whole Foods. It's like these guys set up their own bare metal servers around the world that have
Also cheaper.
and all, yeah, yeah, way, way cheaper.
Mhm.
Um, and part of the ethos that we're all here for is that you get to own the means of production, and having exposure to um, cheaper cloud servers is part of that. So you can spin up your own validator node there. You can spin up your own relayer. They've been a great team, so big shout out to them.
Yep. And so yeah, just to conclude on this slide, we actually when about the thought process of Suzaku, we actually thought of the relayer network before the Suzaku protocol, and then at some point we're like, okay, we have the relayer network. How do we properly decentralize this from day one without jeopardizing the whole ecosystem, without exposing ourselves to the death spiral problem that we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
And and this is how we realized that actually this concept of restaking makes total sense for the Avalanche ecosystem.
So yeah, before we go off of this, this is super interesting, and I want to highlight that I don't think anyone else is even any other teams I know of outside of Ava Labs are even working on this type of infra. So like, honest question, Leo, like, what about the architecture interests you, and like, why are you doing this?
Why are we doing Suzaku?
Yeah, like what I guess, like it's sort of like I would expect almost some of this to be part of Ava Labs. So it's amazing that you
Mm,
guys are building this type of infrastructure to help the existing
yeah.
Avalanche infrastructure. So like, what about it like excites you? Like, why build it?
The as again, as I mentioned in the beginning, we are really strong enthusiasts of the Avalanche tech, and so something that pains me a little bit is to see that all the L1s that are live today, they are all centralized, and so
And what do you,
with
and specifically, that's a very broad term. So what specifically do you mean by that?
I mean that they are not permissionless in the sense that most of the well, either the validator nodes are managed by the team themselves, the L1 team themselves, or they are delegated to some trusted third party. But in the end, when it comes to which node can actually validate their L1s, that are transactions on the P chain, this is all managed by the L1 teams themselves. And so with AVAX 9000, there are the changes, deep protocol changes like ACP 77 that will, for example, enable an L1 to be validated by a node that doesn't necessarily validate the primary network. And so with this, you'll be able to spin up an Avalanche L1 without having to stake 2000 AVAX per node that validates your L1. This is a good. I probably think that this was a technical blocker when it comes to the layer one adoption. But when it comes to truly decentralizing L1s, I don't think it was such a blocker at all, because there are already a lot of professional node operators that are working on that are stakers in Avalanche, and so they already have the Avalanche node, they already have the AVAX, but we haven't seen that many of these providers actually validate additional L1s, and we have seen none that do it in a properly permissionless way, And so this is one of the issue that we want to solve here, because with ACP 77, it will be easier to launch your L1, technically speaking. Um, but I don't think it necessarily solved the issue of wanting to, for projects that want to have their L1 properly and decentralized and truly permissionless, And so this is what we're trying to achieve here.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's a good vision that I think we all want to empower. So I'm glad to see that go through.
Yeah. And so basically what I showed you before is the Suzaku restaking dApp, which is kind of like only half of what Suzaku has to offer, is just the crypto economic security part. On the other end, for L1 builders, what we are offering with Suzaku is what we are calling Suzaku security modules. And with security modules, what we want to do is to just solve the problem that I just described, make things really easier, and have plug and play solution that work out of the box for L1s that want to decentralize. And so what we are offering with Suzaku is multiple modules that can be actually matched and configured with each other to actually go ahead and decentralize. And so say, for example, I will have a complete example after this, but
So this is a
yeah,
great slide for people that are a little familiar with this. This is a great slide because it allows you to understand a roadmap for how after you launch a layer one, how do you, what Leo brought up was that when it's like I think the reason that the centralization happens inside the network is because people are kind of paranoid about it, right? And so they're trying to protect the network by only operating with trusted actors. But as a consequence, that like centralizes sort of risk at the same time. And this is sort of a roadmap for how you would safely open the network up to be permissionless, so that anybody could have a certain threshold of tokens. And here it's like almost like a recipe, like you stake X
exactly. Yeah.
amount of a layer one token plus Avax. So this is like a really interesting. It's almost like a side quest in a video game, right? like how do you like go about like bringing the people to your particular side quest?
Mm. I like the term that you used, recipes, because this is exactly what we want to bring here, with. And so, yeah, maybe I'll just go through the security modules that we'll offer, but
And it's also
obviously the first
perfect for
one will
us because
be.
like this is exactly what Landslide's doing. Like now, like we don't want to have 9 validators run by the team. Like
Mm,
we've onboarded Atom validators, um, we've onboarded Avalanche validators, but we like our success as an interoperability protocol is to ensure that anyone who wants to can also run the network. So relaying packets and validating packets. And so
mm,
like we want to encourage um, basically paying slide tokens to these network operators who feel a part of the ecosystem and also are paid well, because relayers in IBC are often unpaid, and so it
mhm,
suffers from this very bizarre tragedy of the commons where people who are doing the work are not actually paid for the work. They're subsidizing the network.
mm,
um, and also like it's such a great addition, your restaking and dual staking model here, because it allows for like a blend of people who are not uh, maximalists in the same idea to create economic memes together and create a working relationship.
yeah. So maybe I can just go through quickly all of these modules.
Yeah, I'll stop
Um,
interrupting you.
no, if you please do. It's actually more interesting to keep it like this. But so the first one would be just proof of authority. Again, like every L1 is today on Avalanche. Uh, on this case, you have just a smart contract where an admin that's either just one address or preferably a multi-sig, just whitelist validators. Another security module that will implement is proof of stake, and then you can just require to stake an arbitrary amount of your native token or maybe some other token, again on a smart contract, and then you'll be programmatically by the smart contract added to the validator list on the P chain. The model that's really interesting that you were just talking about is the restaking and dual staking module. On this
Wait,
one
wait,
is really
sorry. So,
interesting.
so proof of authority. So the L1 admin whitelist validators, but it's only validators within Avalanche, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But through Landside, we can
At,
open up that proof of authority to be other, like,
mhm.
say, osmosis validators.
I mean, I said yeah, but probably it will be yes in the beginning. On the with Suzaku, we are bringing together stakers that provide the economic security, L1s that want to use this economic security, and also node operators that will actually be running the L1 nodes. And so, as an Avalanche native project, at first it will be natural and easier for to onboard Avalanche validators, but at some point we will want to expand beyond that. Yeah. So to go back to your question, in the beginning, yes, it will be Avalanche validators, but then it will be any kind of operating validator, even if they're not on the Avalanche ecosystem, and especially after ACP 77 is implemented, right?
Yeah, this would be great to integrate with Lava. We just interviewed them. They're doing decentralized RPC providers and a
Yep.
ton of other infrastructure. So it would be great to
Mhm.
plug Suzaku in there.
Mm. We did run a Lava node at some point during the testnet on our side.
Yeah, yeah, perfect.
And so yeah, the restaking draw staking model is particularly interesting because you can start with doing kind of like proof of stake, having your token be utilized for stake, but also requires to stake a certain amount that you choose of another token, maybe SAVAX, maybe BTCB or AUSD, to become a validator. And why you will want to do that is to avoid what we said earlier, the death spiral problem. When you launch your L1 and you have your native token that's really volatile, at least you have the assurance and the guarantee that your validator, when you decentralize, they're also staking another token that could be slashable if you decide to implement slashing. And so this will keep them incentivized to run the network even if your native token has reached critical low value. And so this dual staking model is particularly interesting. We also have added recently another model that could be interesting. It's what we are calling for now stake airdrop. Maybe the name will change, but the idea here would be to um, airdrop a locked amount of your native token to a bunch of validators, say any validator on the P chain that are already validating the Avalanche primary network. You airdrop them an amount that is locked, and so any of these nodes can be a validator of your L1 from day one, and they will just progressively unlock the stake if they actually validate your L1 and if they maintain a good uptime. And so this is a model that's I think it's quite interesting.
That's actually what Avalanche did for their mainnet. They dropped 2,000 AVAX to the validators who stood up the network, and they just
Mhm.
locked it for a year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember the validators that participated in the testnet also, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And also to finish on this slide, what's interesting is that as an L1 builder using Suzaku to decentralize your L1, you'll be able to kind of like mix and truly configure any of these modules. If you want to have restaking with a specific other token for restaking, you can do so. If you want to have slashing or not, you can also decide. If you want to have half of your network weight powered by proof of authority and the other half by proof of stake, you can also do so. And so we'll keep things extremely configurable,
Great.
as we'll see in my next slide. So I did kind of like an example of what you said earlier. It's the end-to-end deploying a new L1 from centralized to totally permissionless. So let's take the example of we are launching a season L1. We want to call it the season L1 with the season native token. At first, the first phase, we are just deploying the network. And so everything is centralized. Like I mentioned, all the validators, they are managed by the team, by the development team. And so using this, the season L1 devs, through an admin key or using multisig, they will just whitelist validators to the proof of authority security module on Suzaku. Everything would happen on chain, on the C chain. And then the contract on the C chain will actually send transactions to the P chain to update the validator set and add the validator that belongs to the team that are managed by the team. So this is really the first phase of probably most of the network will have a first phase like this, because they want to when you launch, obviously you want to keep things under control, In a second phase, the season L1s developers, they want to open things up, And what they can do with Suzaku is actually split the validation weight, the validation power of the network in half, keep 50% of the weight on the proof of authority security module so that they are still controlled by the team. It's still the nodes that are managed by the team and that obviously keep a good uptime because they are managed by them. And also on the other side, they will have 50% of the weight that will be open using another security module. In this case, for the example, I picked the dual staking security module. And so from here, we can have any node operator that can permissionlessly stake the season token. So they will need to acquire some first, obviously. Acquire the season token and then stake the season token as well as some other assets that will be decided by the season L1 devs. In this case, they have chosen SFX. And so they are requiring additional node operators to stake their own native token season SFX on the dual staking security modules. And again, from here, from the C chain, there will be messages sent to the P chain. If the conditions are met, the thresholds are met, then the validator set is updated and they are actually part of the validator set and receiving season tokens as rewards, for example. Again, here, the season L1 team could decide of everything. It's really flexible. They can choose the weight that will be actually decentralized using the dual staking security module. They can choose the amount of season that the operators have to stake. They can choose to slash or not the other asset, in this case SAVAX, if the node operators misbehave. And most of all, they also have the security that half of the weight is actually still under their control so that their one will keep good uptime.
Understood.
And so after this phase 2, after a few months, they are happy of their decentralization. Their token has good market cap. It's stable, and they can decide to go fully permissionless. And so switching from 2 security modules to just one, the proof of stake security module. In this case, they don't even require the node operators to stake SRX that will be slashed because just either slashing of the season token or just not distributing rewards to validators that have bad uptime is enough for them. And from this phase, the season L1 is completely permissionless, and they have used Suzaku from start to finish to go from centralized to permissionless.
Fantastic. Well, just speaking personally, we're happy to. This is the piece that we've actually left out of our stack. So it's great to know that you guys have solved it for us. So please take our money.
Sounds good. Yeah, just as a couple of ending slides, here are a bunch of our partners that we'll be launching with. Again, this is kind of like alpha, but we have refreshed our homepage yesterday and as well as our documentation, and everything is coming again really, really soon.
Fantastic.
And as a final slide, yeah, the why Suzaku? Why the name Suzaku? So Suzaku is the Japanese name of the vermilion bird, one of the 4 symbols of the Chinese constellation. And so for the story, we actually, our other project is called Ash, right? And so from the ashes rises the phoenix. And so we wanted to call it Phoenix at first, but there are already a bunch of projects, DeFi projects that are called Phoenix. There is one on Solana that is like an exchange that is quite big, and so we wanted something that sounded unique on the whole Web3 spectrum, and so this is why we settled with Suzaku.
Perfect.
And that's it for my presentation. Hope everything has been clear. And yeah, we can't wait to launch Suzaku and unveil a lot of other things that we have in the pipe.
So great. That was great, man. I appreciate you sharing that with us. Maybe you can share with me what apps do you want to see built? Like, what kind of new apps do you want? Like, what's in your imagination?
It's again basically anything that we can do with L1. Something that I would really like to see is an L1 that's decentralized from day one. Like I went through the in my latest slides the example from centralized to permissionless, but what I would like to see is a project that figure out the good tokenomics, which is also something that we can help them with some of our partners that are tokenomics experts. that figure out good tokenomics and good implementation of the Suzaku security modules to have proper decentralization from day one. This is something I would really like to see. Yeah, without the usual scheme of um, doing a seed round. The VCs buy a lot of the token, the VCs take the token and then earn the rewards. I mean, this is still a model that exists, right? But I really love to see a community-led project that start from, I don't know, maybe a meme coin, and then they figure out how to build their own L1 decentralized from day one. This is something that would be really cool. Yeah.
So a meme coin layer one, like without any pre-sales, basically.
Yeah. And actually the I think the dual staking model makes sense for meme coins because if you take the example of Coq or Kimbo, whatever meme coins we have on Avalanche, they don't have any tokens left to mint to incentivize validators, right? And so in this case, I think it just makes sense to have the dual staking model because um, with this you can incentivize the node operators to still have good uptime and without having to pour them with your token, and dilute your token too much.
Yeah. So for people who are a little confused, just to clarify, Cock and Kimbo are meme coins that are basically fully minted. They're not emitting anything in the protocol. So what's your suggestion for like? I know Cocknet's being built, but like I've frankly never understood how they're paying. I think they're using transaction fees to pay for
This,
validators.
actually, this is something that is up to the L1 builder. Um, when you are running EVM, subnet EVM, this is something that's configurable when you launch your network, and that you can also upgrade afterwards. Also, you can decide to have the fees totally burned or sent to an arbitrary address, which can be a smart contract. And in this case, you could have this is something I would do if I was a meme coin building my own network. Um, I would probably just burn half of these, then put another half in a smart contract, and then redistribute those rewards to the validators. This is something that I would do.
Interesting. Okay, so half burn, half sent, half used to operate the network.
That could be a good model. Yeah.
Great. Well, I can't say what it is, but we are working with some very interesting meme coin teams. So maybe we'll bring them over.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah.
Um, what else? You mentioned NodeKit, and there's a ton of other layer ones building on Avalanche. And honestly, we launched layer one season specifically to just meet them all because there's so many going on, and I can't even keep track. So because we're an infrastructure partner and like Landside's trying to bring liquidity and users to those layer ones, we like
Mhm.
we it's like who else is there's so much going on. It's hard for me to keep
Yeah.
track. Like what
May-
interests you?
Maybe it's worth to talk about one of our launch partners. Actually, it's Player, the Player Network. We have announced a partnership with them.
Yeah, I'm totally
Quite
unfamiliar with them.
so. Player, they are building an Avalanche L1 that will serve as kind of like a backend, Web3 backend to multiple games that they are themselves building and that some other third party are building. And it's also interesting here. What's interesting here is that they have done a node sale for their network. And so this is actually it's not even on the slides, but this is actually a security module that we also have with Suzaku. Um, in this case, we will to become a validator, the L1 admin will not require for the stake of a token, but for example, the possession of node key that could be I don't know, NRC 721 NFT compatible. And so in this case, to become a validator, you just need to own this inside your wallet, and then boom, because it's coded in the smart contract logic of the security module, you are a validator. And
So,
so
but
since it's
doesn't
not
this like make your skin crawl a little bit? Like I thought we were supposed to decentralize. So are we selling the node position now? Like
again, every like I'm not in a position to like judge how the L1s want to do things, right? Node sales have they have the pros and cons.
Yeah.
Obviously, a big pros for the team is that it enables them to get funding. And
Yeah.
so if the thing is that the player, they have already run through their node sale, but they do want to decentralize,
So
using
this is
using
yeah, this is
the
the thing. Like we've thought about this as well, and obviously, like you have to pay your team, and so just because my particular opinions on the sale, um,
Mm.
you have to pay your team, and that's a solvable problem. So I'm just curious, how, after you do a node sale, like how do you sort of go permissionless?
Well, in their case, probably if the requirement to become a validator is to have one of the nodes or maybe a bunch of them, probably they have a secondary market, where you can resell your nodes to some other people. And so probably in the end, having a proof of stake network where the requirement is just to stake, I don't know, 100 of your token, or a no sale environment where you just have to own one node and this node happens to cost, I don't know, 100 token. Probably in the end it will become quite the same if the number of nodes are not limited, of course, and if there's a kind of like a secondary market for the node sales. I think in the end it's quite the same.
Huh.
But again, with Suzaku, really what we want to do is not pick sides, decide on how L1 should be decentralized, but most importantly, provide all the options to decentralized. And so this is the core idea of these security modules, is to be flexible and to represent the what's usually done in this space, whether it's proof of stake, dual
Yeah,
staking,
yeah.
not
Well,
sales,
I
whatever.
would add that like our attorney actually suggested that it was, and this is not legal advice, but our attorney suggested that to us recently. He said that he was seeing these node sales, and that because people are doing work, it's an interesting compliance side hack, basically, that you can't because people are doing work in the network. You're not relying on the work of others, which is the sort of Howey test mark. So maybe
Mm-mm.
there's something to it, and I just haven't taken haven't done the homework yet.
Yeah, and again, when it comes to node sales, I I I really looked at whole different projects doing node sales, and I think that there are as many not sales models as there are not sales, because some of them are just completely private. Some others are like, I'm doing this not sale one time, and then I'm never doing this again. Some others are continuous. Some have secondary markets, some have not. It's really, it's not a one size fits all model. They're really, it hasn't been really standardized yet, I believe.
Great, understood. What? Yeah. So player. So shout out to player. Like happy to see them building like a back end for Web3 gaming. Sounds like.
Yeah. That's what they're doing. Yeah.
So is that like a Unity type thing? Like what exactly what infrastructure are they building?
I wouldn't be able to say precisely. I know that they are developing games themselves and that
Okay,
they are about to launch one. But also, as I mentioned, what they want to do is to, um, I'm not sure if it's comparable to Unity, but kind of abstract. Yeah, the way you incorporate Web3 components inside a game, so that basically they want to address to, I'm a game developer. I want to have some Web3 economics in my game. I don't want to bother running a chain, so I'm just plugging to the player chain and using the player token inside my ecosystem.
understood. Cool. Anyone else you want to highlight before we close out?
Um, Not that I can say now. We are talking to a lot of different projects that are interested in decentralizing with Suzaku. Um,
Great.
don't think there are others I can name for now, but again, we will announce some stuff really soon, and with our launch partners as well. So we have a lot of stuff coming.
Great.
That will be nice to unfold. And also
Fantastic.
for those coming to Argentina for the Avalanche Summit, we do have a side event planned with our friends at Benki and Dripit, which is another member of the first Codebase cohort. Um, I think you can find it on Luma. It's like nothing crazy, not a big nightclub party, but just a cozy after works drinks after the first day of the summit on the Tuesday. So if anyone wants to come and will be in Argentina, please feel free to register. Yeah.
Great. Well, we'll share a link, I guess, on the YouTube channel and on Twitter as well.
Yeah. Sure.
Great. Well, Leo, thank you so much for your time. This has been great. Like we'll obviously decentralize our validator set with Suzaku, and happy to learn more about it. So appreciate you coming
Sounds
on.
good. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for having me, and see you next year, I guess.
Yeah, I think we're going to try to do this more often now that things are just really accelerating. So I think we're going to turn this into a more regular podcast.